Awesome, man. And I have Danny McBrien on the podcast from Arizona today. And I'm excited to have Danny on the podcast because Danny, I met you at Chris Root's Mastermind
Destin, Florida.
in
Yeah.
in Destin, Florida, and that was a very inspiring mastermind, man. I came back fired up, and it was a lot of good stuff, man. I think some of the most powerful thing about mastermind is just connecting with the right people, man. So I was grateful to be able to connect with you and a few other guys. So I'm excited to have you on, man, because you're doing big things. Your business, you're very successful, and your business is doing really, really good numbers. And I think, when I met you at the mastermind, you were very humble about it. But you guys are absolutely crushing the game, man. So you have $1 million real estate business. So I kind of want to dive into that and kind of how you got to where you are. So go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Introduce yourself and kind of tell us an idea how you got started into real estate and your little bit of your background.
Yeah, of course. So I'm originally from New York. I moved to Arizona like about 4 years ago. Just from an early age and shit. I mean, I've always been a hustler. I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to be free. I wanted to have financial freedom. I wanted to, have nice houses, have nice cars. I wanted to live an abundant lifestyle. I've always had a competitive edge, a chip on my shoulder. I was a big wrestler in my early days, so that's kind of trailed with me for a while, especially into business. I feel like a lot of these things that we do translates into sports. I feel like I'm playing a game every day.
Absolutely.
And if you're a higher level performer on like a sports team or when you were younger, I feel like that translates so much into your later life, into your business. Even you're a big sports trainer too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those habits and that mindset transfers into your business so much. So my real estate journey started about 3 years ago. I got licensed. I started going through the process of everything. I was working at a corporate job. I wasn't too, it is what it is. It was more of like a call center. I was just kind of making it, paying the bills. I wanted more. I wanted to acquire more things. I wanted financial freedom, and I knew the place that I was at wasn't cutting it. And just the environment itself, like you were saying with the masterminds, putting yourself in the right room, putting yourself in the right environment with those high level people is what brings you to the next level. And I knew the place that I was at wasn't cutting it for me. I was sitting next to 30 people, eating Twix bars, Twinkie bars, like, you name it. Like if it was low level people, dude, I'm like, shit, like I got to get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started just working in some bars and some nightclubs on the weekends. I was trying to get some traction to pick up some extra money and stuff like that. And I got involved in that scene in Scottsdale for about a year. I was making good money there. I was making more money on the weekends at some bars than my day job for my corporate job. So I was like, all right, let me maximize my time, maximize my money. So I worked both jobs. I was doing like 14 to 16-hour days for like a year straight. And then I eventually left my day job. I kept the bar job in the evenings, and I had that supplement my income for when I was starting my real estate journey. And I started working for another investor for a little under a year. I was doing acquisitions, getting contracts. I was getting a couple deals, not too much traction. But I later left there and pretty much tried starting my own operation, just falling flat on my face, just figuring it out as I went. Like, there wasn't an exact execution on it. I do so many things differently now, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But like I'm a big advocate on just kind of I always do something and then figure it out as I go. Like I don't ever, even in my business now, dude, like with how successful we are, I always tell people 60 to 70% of the time, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm just kind of figuring it out. the deals that we're doing, the things that we're figuring out. Like, I'm very confident in portraying that I know what I'm doing, because I know I'm confident enough that I'm going to find the tools and resources needed to figure it out.
Absolutely. And real quick, Dan, because there's like probably 3 or 4 golden nuggets in there I want to kind of unpack. So we'll start back and we'll loop back around. First thing is, you were talking about you're in, number one, you grew up playing, you're a wrestler, you're in sports, so you always kind of had a competitive advantage and a competitive mindset, which is, I think, sort of the foundation for a lot of entrepreneurs, right? You know, we're sort of mental athletes, I think.
Right.
You know,
we're all kind of sickos.
Yeah, no, 100%, dude. Like you don't do this shit if you're sane, because it's not. It doesn't make any logical sense. I mean, even like, I'll have days where I'm like, why do I do this? I like being stressed out. It's a very sick thing, dude. It's weird, you know.
I agree.
But to kind of go back to, you started off as a wrestler, very competitive mindset. You moved to Arizona, but you had a corporate job and you were around people that you felt like were not raising you, or they weren't reflecting back who you were, who your core values were. I think a lot of people have this feeling, right? And I think people just don't take ownership of it. You know, they have dead end friends that they've been friends with for fucking 15 years. They have, family members or just people around there, like, these people suck, but they may feel the internal battle of being around their coworkers that they don't want to be around, but they don't ever take action. You took action. What was it? How did you say and say, you know what, this is just not for me? And what were kind of the steps to get you out of that place?
I mean, I took action over a long period of time. Like, there was not one like specific moment, I would say. It was more like, hey, I'm putting in the work for this place. I'm putting in the work. I'm not really getting that. I'm not really receiving any value back. And I kind of was getting the notion that the place I was at was a one-sided relationship. It was do your job. If you excel, you don't really get paid extra. You don't really get to a higher level or anything. It was a complacent type of environment, and you could just tell with the people that were there. It was like, it's a low level environment. The people there are not excelling in their personal lives. They're not owning assets. They're not creating high income streams. It's just it's a complacent environment. So I was just like, in my mind, like, what could I do? I didn't have enough money to like just jump ship and start going into real estate. Like, I knew I had to save money, and I believe in taking risks, but I also believe in taking strategic risks.
I love it.
So it's like, for me, and when someone's like, hey, I want to get into this game, I want to learn it. Like, if you're not already like a high level performer, or you don't have a high income, or you don't have savings, good liquidity, like, I don't really like recommend like just jumping into it. Like, because it's like, for me, it was like, I was supplementing income on the evenings and weekends and working fucking like 30 hours a week, Thursday through Sunday. So during the day, when I would pump money into this real estate business, I still was able to take care of my living expenses. I was still able to pay my car. Credit was still good. I was pulling 0% APR credit cards, and I was financing like short-term debt and then paying off the credit cards once I closed a deal. And then just balance transfer the debt to different credit cards, depending how much more I wanted to prolong my debt schedule. So I was essentially like fronting myself like short-term loans, kind of like betting on myself, like, hey, I'm gonna dump $5,000 to $10,000 into the business, and then in 2 or 3 months I should have a deal to pay it off, and I would 10x that, or end up paying it all off. So it was more like strategically setting a plan in place. I remember talking to my parents. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna leave my corporate job at this month, I'm going to save up this amount of dollars. I'm going to want to get licensed. I want to learn this amount. Like, it was very strategic and very specific. It was not like a jump ship. Let me get out of here. I don't have an income. I'm not going to figure it out. Like, I had good money in the bank, and I was still successfully doing real estate at a higher level and working on the weekends at a bar.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome, Dane. And I feel like that's because you always hear like, taking risk, which I think it's good. You should take risk, but strategic risk, because like you said, this is my 5th year now in real estate. And I did a coaching session yesterday with a wholesaler in Kansas City, and it's his first year. He's closed 2 or 3 deals. And I'm like, dude, this is a dead end. The way you're doing it, it's a dead end.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, they don't want to hear the hard truth. Like, because you get on YouTube and it's like, oh, I was a UPS driver. I quit my job, walked out, did a deal, made 90 grand. It's like,
no, fuck no.
It's like, dude, it's not like that, man. I mean, so many people come and go in this industry. And I feel like real estate is, dude, it's sort of the haves or the have-nots, and I love the fact that you took a risk, but you also laid a roadmap of saying, okay, hey, this is the steps that I'm going to do. I'm still going to take action. I'm still going to move forward and take the risk, but I'm going to do it in a strategic way. I'm not going to be a moron, right? I think that's awesome. And so you started taking the action. You started strategically moving forward, and then you got into real estate. How did you meet the person that you started doing acquisitions for? How did that come about?
So I got licensed, and I worked for a Keller Williams brokerage, and it was probably like a week or two I was there, and I could tell like it wasn't an environment for me. It was, hey, call all your friends and call your family, tell them to sell you tell them they need to buy a house from you, or they need to sell a house from you. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I would never want like my mother to buy a house from me when I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I'm not comfortable doing that. Like, so it was but I get the motto, it's just kind of attaining clientele that already knows, likes, and trusts you. So, but I wasn't really about it. I wanted a more fast-paced environment, and I wanted to do the wholesaling, and that was kind of like what intrigued me. And then that broker referred me over to like another one of his business partners who had a wholesaling company, and I started working there, and that's how I got into the acquisitions part of it.
That's awesome, man. And so you join his team. Is he still currently in business, or?
He is. Yeah. He's a high level player.
Nice.
They do a couple 6 figures a month.
Awesome. So
they've been around for a long time. So
yeah. So you joined this guy's team. What were, because going from the retail real estate, you're like, I'm not about this. You jump into the wholesaling. Obviously, it's wholesaling. I think it's, you build a relationship with buyers, but it's very transactional, right? And I love that though. I love it. Like see, to me, what I love about what we do is I can be myself, and I don't have to hide who I am. Like, I don't have to hide the fact that I just want to get a deal done.
Right. Yeah. Hey, I'm here to make as much money as I can, the shortest amount of time, period.
Yeah. And it's a really freeing thing, right? I was talking to my wife about it, and it's like, it's so tough because you do other things with other industries, and you gotta do the LinkedIn buzzwords, and I'm like, dude, I'm here to help my team and my company make as much money as possible and grow my guys' success. I mean, at the same time, if you do that, you're doing good things for other people. You're doing good for the seller. You're doing good for the buyer. But I like the fact that you recognized, kind of the difference of what you want to do. So you start working with this guy. What were some of the first initial challenges that you faced, doing acquisitions?
Shit, dude, a lot. I had, the training that I give to my people now is way different than what was given to me. It was more like, shooting from the hip type of scenario from over there, where it's just like, hey, get in there. I don't really know how to identify a lead. I don't know what a lead is. I don't know who I should be talking to. I don't know what I should be spending my time on. What does my day-to-day look like? I'm driving to across the valley. And if you've ever been to Phoenix, Phoenix is fucking huge. It's the size of Connecticut. So a lot of my days would be like, I drive to go get my time wasted, or I would drive to take pictures of a property, where now it's like, in our operation, I have a full-time runner / assistant that does all of that for my salespeople, for me, my business partner. Like, nobody leaves the office unless they're going to get a deal signed. And that's what maximizes time, which will maximize your profits. Like, so a lot of the times now it's I'll have a runner go out to the absentee owner appointment, and then I'll close over the phone. It saves me 2 to 3 hours per day.
That's awesome.
So that's what I struggled with a lot when I first started out. Is I was, in my opinion, my time wasn't really like maximized as a salesperson. I felt like I was doing low level tasks in a higher level position, which I don't really believe in. I think everybody should be maximizing their time and doing the most productive task, if that is your role. And I just wasn't as confident as I was. I wasn't as forward as I am. Like now I'm very serious. I'm very to the point. Like, you know, it gives off a vibe. It gives off an energy that, you know, shows that, hey, this person is serious. He is here to buy my house. He's not here to play games. Like, I don't like to step out of this office unless I'm getting a deal. Like,
absolutely.
Or I'm looking at deals, or, you know, it brings a different level than 2-3 years ago, where I was more timid. I just kind of, I was in the backseat, you know what I mean? I wasn't driving the car. Like, now I'm a driver. Like, I'm directing the appointments. I'm directing where the deal's going to go to. You become more assertive. You become a more vibrant and confident person, and that portrays on your transactions, your deals, your processes, everything.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I think those are some really good points, because I think a lot of those are some challenges that I faced as well when I first started. Was, you know, I'm in Houston. Houston's humongous.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember the day, Danny, I'm not joking. This was the day that I hired my first VA. Literally, it was June. It was June of 2019. Dude, I had 4 appointments. And I don't know if you're familiar with Houston, but there's Galveston. There's like Galveston, which is the island down south. So I had an appointment in Galveston. The guy didn't show up. And then I drive to Katy, which is like north, like freaking northwest of Houston. Guy didn't show up. Then I drive, dude, then I go to Waller, Texas, which is like 30 or 45 minutes away. Dude, anyways, 4 appointments. Everybody showed. And dude, it was like one of those coming to Jesus moments where I'm like, dude, I drove in the car for 10 hours a day
It's
and
horrible,
nothing happened. And I have nothing in the pipeline. So it's like,
it's one of those dark days, and there's
dude,
no light at the end of the tunnel.
Bro, there was no light. And so I had to like recognize, like, what the hell am I doing, man? I mean, I was doing like 1, 2, 3 deals a month by myself, like a solo operation, but it was a super grind.
Tough, man.
And so then I went home that night and I was like, I'm going to hire a VA. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just going to hire a VA and I'm going to have them call. And anyways, I did that. That in itself was a disaster, but I started working it out and working out the kinks. And then, you know, we started slowly growing more into a business. But I think that evolution, like that you were saying, of, you know, valuing your time, you know, driving around, going to appointments. Now you're like, I'm not going to step outside the office unless I know it's a deal. So tell me a little bit, you know, you started doing deals with this guy, you started gaining some success. You said you're with him for about a year or so. What was that transition from like, okay, you know what, I'm going to step off and create, I have a bigger vision. I'm going to create my business. How did that transition look?
That transition was tough, man. I wasn't really doing a lot of business. Like I had my close friend who's my business partner now, Kurt. We were kind of in the mix together, and we used to work at the company, and we left in similar times, and it was just kind of leaning off each other, splitting some expenses, before we formalized the company and everything.
Yeah.
It was just kind of doing some work together and I guess figuring it out as I went. I would watch YouTube for like 10 hours a day. I'd watch Tyler Austin, like fucking doing some Excel stuff and how to pull lists and how to call it. I would buy my own list. I would download the list. I would convert the list to whatever CSV file. I would upload into the dialer. I would manage the dialer. I would make the calls. I would put into my follow-up system. I started building my own pipeline, and I got some deals, but I was shortchanging all my deals. I was getting raped by buyers. Like,
yeah.
I was just getting out there, getting bent over, and it is what it is. It's the evolution curve. Luckily, I was able to see past it and learn and tweak some things. And it's even still to this day, everything's a constant, like, you're refining everything, you're tuning up things, like everything's always an adjustment. There's always improvements to be made. But now I'm able to quickly identify things more and more quickly transition into new improvements. But starting out, dude, it was tough. I was in the same thing, like doing 1 to 2 deals, and then COVID hit. I didn't do any deals for like 4 or 5 months, and I was sinking ship. And those were definitely some dark days coming into our office, and I was putting money into this and I wasn't seeing results. And there was, I was looking on Indeed at other jobs. I was like, fuck this. Like, this is just not producing. It's not going to the level that I wanted to. And then that summer came and some deals started to pop and stuff like that. The list started yielding, and I think I had like a 50 grand month or something like that. And that was a big windfall.
That's awesome.
And then from there, it was like, which was 2 years ago now, it was like probably 10 to like 30 grand a month split between me and a partner. So I definitely wasn't going hungry, but I wanted some more deals in the pipeline. I wanted some more profits, and we just kind of started divvying up tasks more and understanding teamwork and dividing and conquering, not, spending a bunch of time on the same shit, wasting a bunch of time. We started maximizing more deals, getting better buyers, building out a buyer's list, more like standard processes in place. And then from there, we, hired an assistant, not hired an assistant. We actually started getting VAs, and I slowly started to outsource all the cold calling and all the monotonous fucking work. That's energy draining.
Yeah, no, for sure. And because, so that was 2 years ago. You guys are doing, this is COVID time, obviously some dry months, and COVID was I don't want to I hate blaming fucking COVID, but as far as for timeline sake, it is what it is. Because I personally had a really good January and February of 2020. I say really good. It's all relative. At that time, it was good.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I'd be like, oh my God, this is the worst month ever. But at the time it was good. And then I think March was decent, but April and May were really tough because buyers were scared to buy. And that's what I experienced here in the Houston market. They were kind of using some COVID as excuses to get, lower prices and et cetera. But you guys 2 years ago, you're doing 10, 20, 30 grand a month. You had that $50,000 a month. And then you guys are doing well above that now. Obviously, you did some hiring. What were some of the big key shifts in your business? Because you guys are, if you want to share your numbers now, you're doing better than 50 grand a month. You guys have a really solid business.
Multiple 6 figures a month.
Yeah,
we're averaging anywhere from 200 to 300 per month.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So you're doing $200,000, $300,000 a month.
Yeah.
and you were doing 50 grand 2 years ago. That's I don't know. It's like 400% growth, somewhere around there. It's a lot, 500%
Yeah.
growth. So what were, because you made some changes, but there was probably also some mindset changes too. What were some of the
Right.
shifts that you guys made?
Shifts was delegating more. I outsourced a bunch of the bullshit, the calling, the VAs, the lists, the dialing, hiring a full-time assistant, in-house full-time assistant who makes the runs, put things on lock boxes. And then on the dispo process, like I run all the dispo now, and it's like now I'm trying to like maximize every deal. And it's like if we send something out, like I'm trying to maximize every penny. If I don't get a buyer the first day, like that's great. Like I priced it right. Like, you know what I mean? That's the way it should be. Like you should send out a deal the first day or two and not get a buyer. Like that means you're asking a high price. So therefore reduce your price and then land at that and maximize every penny.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah.
And just kind of like really underwriting deals more and really pushing the asking price. And like there was so many times where it's like you make a 10K wholesale fee and it's like, all right, well, I'm a wholesaler. Like that's what I can make. Like, you know what I mean? Now it's like, I don't really care. I'll make a $250,000 assignment fee. Like, I don't really care. Like I'll maximize every deal. Like, and there was like one deal in particular where we're like, all right, I think we got it for like 390 or something. And we're like, all right, let's ask for 410. And that was the 20K assignment fee. And then we're just kind of looking at the numbers and we're like, well, maybe we can ask 425 or something like, and we're just like kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. And then we got it. And then we're like, on the next deal, we're like, oh shit, like, let's ask more money. Like, let's try to maximize these deals. Like, and then it just transitioned into a point where like, I'm always going to ask for the absolute top. Like, I'm not going to be afraid to ask for a lot, or I'm not going to be nervous if my buyer sees me making a $70,000 assignment fee. Like, I have no problem taking his earnest money and closing on it with lender funds, or, you know, now maximizing, we're taking down deals. We're got great relationships with some private and hard money lenders right now. So now it's just about maximization and not being afraid to think that, hey, I can only make a certain amount of money off each deal because I'm a wholesaler and I'm not a flipper.
Man, Danny, this is gold right here. Cause I feel like, seriously, man, this is talking to myself right now, because I run dispo for our team and I know I leave meat on the table all the time. Right. And I do it for various reasons, but I'm kind of going through a similar evolution that you guys already went through, where I've had a few deals. So I had a deal in Dallas, and I had a deal in Dallas that we sold last week, and man, I undersold it. Like we made a 35K assignment fee, but I probably could have made a 60, you know. And it's just those little bitty things where, you know, you price it because you're pricing it based off of what you're taught as a wholesaler. Like, well, you should make 10, you should make 15, maybe 20, instead of saying, look, I'm going to price it based off the actual deal itself. You know what I mean? So you guys started doing that, started maximizing your deals on each deal. Do you ever have an opportunity where you do a deal and you know maybe it's overpriced and you have to maybe come down, or do you just close on it yourself? Do you ever have those?
Yeah, give me 1 second. So I will always maximize every deal. If I'm asking too much, or if I know I'm asking too much, I haven't gotten a buyer yet, or there's times where, sorry, I didn't know if that would be recorded.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
So
We're good. Like, we're good.
Oh my God, those guys, they kill me, bro.
It's all good.
So if I'm, anyway, I guess the piggyback, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So if I'm sending out a deal and I'm asking too much, I know that I'm trying to maximize profits, but there's a couple other like key indicators that will go into that. Like a big thing is like access is huge too. If something's vacant on lockbox, like you best believe like I'm squeezing every penny of that. But like if there's junky tenants that are tweaking out and access is going to be an issue and I
Yeah.
can't get buyers and pictures, like, you know, you got to pick and choose your battles with this. So like we'll identify a deal where it's like, all right, like if we can't get a $50,000 wholesale fee, we'll just take it down and buy and relist it and make, you know, 70 or whatever. So it's like, I'm not afraid to, I'll send it to some buyers and like, yo, it's ridiculous. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll just flip it myself. You know what I mean? So it really depends on the deal at that table and the access and the back end that will go into it.
I see. That's huge, man, because I think a lot of times we leave a lot of money on the table whenever we're dispoing. And a lot of it, I think, comes from having like a scarcity mindset, you know, or like, shit, I got to move the deal. You know what I mean? But I love the fact that you're saying, look, if the buyer doesn't, if he backs out or if he whatever, I'll take the EMD, I'll close on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll go make all the money on the deal. And you got to pick and choose. Like I have a deal right now in Fort Myers, Florida, and dude, it's a shack. I mean, it's just a freaking shack, dude. Everybody that's sitting, everybody that's sitting over there, dude. I'll have buyers who are like, yeah, I'll do it at 70, or I'll do it this or whatever, which that's actually a decent price for this deal. And dude, every single one, man, they leave, they go, that place is a dump. Like, and I'm like, okay, shit. So I probably need to reevaluate my numbers. But there's some, man, it's like I definitely have undersold, but I think pushing the boundaries, like you said, I think that's key. So someone watching this who does dispo, if you can make it a practice where it's like, okay, my gut says I want to price it at 110. Let me do 139. Let me press, kind of
course,
stretch myself to get uncomfortable, you know.
And it's like, oh well, shit, like I'm coming close to the end of my inspection period. I'm coming close to closing. Like we just did a deal, dude, where I didn't have a buyer and it was closing like 2 days. Closing was like 2 days away and I didn't have a buyer because I put it out a price and slowly reduced it. But like I'm so composed at this point to where it's like, and we ended up finding a buyer and then price reducing and making some more money off the back end.
Right.
But it's just like becoming so composed in like a high tense environment. Where it's like, shit, I might have to call a seller and cancel in 2 days. And obviously that's never the case. We never want to do that. But you know, not becoming so emotionally attached to everything like I used to 2 years ago. Yeah,
that's huge. No, that's huge, man, especially in this business. That's absolutely key. What are you guys are doing, you know, $200,000-$300,000 a month. You're, you know, 2 million plus per year, growing rapidly. What's the overall goal, right? Because in real estate, everybody has, you know, this is what I love about real estate is you can put 20 guys in a room and they may do similar things, wholesale, flip or whatever, but their end destination usually is different. So for you guys, what's the pinnacle of success for your real estate company?
Yeah. I mean, company wise, I want to build out a couple more strategic people and some strategic seats, get it to north of 5 million. That would be ideal. And really just acquire more assets. I mean, we picked up 10 doors this year.
Nice.
All leveraged out at like 70-75% loan to value. Probably got, you know, 1.5 to 2 million in equity on those. So really, with the interest rates rising, though, it's harder to acquire single family assets because for our investor rates, we're at like 5.5 to 6. So we're kind of refining and reshaping, going into bigger deals like multifamily. So I'm trying to pick up like 3 units, anywhere from like 3 to 12 units, somewhere in there, and then getting those at like a good discount, refinancing out, and hopefully not coming out of pocket too much. That's the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had a triplex in Mesa that the numbers were, acquisitions price was 375. We put in about 50 to 60,000. So we were at like 430 to 440 all in. We just refinanced out at 700 and got 480 of capital back. So we got a
Wow.
free property, and my partner and I are cutting ourselves a 20K check each
Nice.
for that one. So that was a phenomenal deal. So really, I'm trying to get more multifamily deals, trying to acquire more assets. I'm trying to stack more cash. I'm buying a house this year, which I'm super excited for. So really just kind of layering down more foundations to excel profits, to acquire more assets, get some more passive income, and then just personally like live a great life for myself, be more healthy, more active, and maybe try to travel more and connect with some more minds on some masterminds. I want to build my personal brand more, and try to get into more rooms with higher level people. So
I
those
love
are
it.
kind of what's on the horizon.
Yeah, that's huge, man. And you guys are, I mean, as far as your business, you guys are, you're absolutely killing it. For me, the most impressive thing is the growth over the short amount of time. I think that is just really, really impressive. And the fact you guys have been able to kind of increase your revenue so
Yeah.
rapidly. Um, do you have any mentors? I mean, do you have any personal mentors for real estate that has helped you kind of get to where you are currently?
Yeah. I mean, one in particular, Terry Summers, who's a great friend of mine. He's educated us a lot on the refinancing structure, all the back end, working with different lenders. So in terms of like acquiring and holding on to properties, Terry Summers was an absolute G on that one. And
Nice.
even like Rude, like I take so many nuggets from Rude. Like, and one thing that he always says, which resonates with me so much, is like, we're not just wholesalers, we are real estate investors. We're diversified
Absolutely.
investors. Like I could sling a land deal, I could sling a multifamily deal, I could sling a mobile home. Like there is not like, if there's money to be made on a real estate transaction, I'm going to figure out how to do it. I'm not just a wholesaler. We're intelligent to high level people that can borrow money from a lender, that can keep it as a rental, that can refinance it from a different asset-based lender, that can run their business the way it's supposed to, that can set up credit lines, that can have business debt, that can have business credit, like, actually running this thing like a real legitimate business, not just I'm a wholesaler trying to sling a deal or two and make 10-20,000.
Man, that's so key, because I think that's the biggest challenge. I'm telling you, man, like I said, um I do some coaching for some guys that are entry level in wholesaling. And I always tell them, like, dude, don't, if you're doing this to make 50K, 100K a year, don't do it. Don't
Yeah,
do it.
that's
Go,
I'd rather go somewhere else and
dude,
make
go
that
do,
money.
like, this is a bad, like, I feel like this industry, especially with wholesaling, because you're absolutely right. Like, we're more than wholesalers. We're investors. That is just an exit strategy. But
Right.
if you're doing this for income, and I think that is the worst thing that's being taught right now,
Yeah.
is go do a couple, like, dude, you can go get a sales job and make 100 grand. I
Right.
mean, with benefits and a 9 to 5. I mean, you don't have to risk your own capital. I feel like if you're going to do this, you have to think minimum 7 figures. You
Yeah.
minimum. That's like the standard, you know. So I think that's huge, man, that you identified that, because I think that's some of the biggest challenges. I think a lot of people, and I feel like that it's a lot of the stuff is changing. I think the cream's rising to the top. A lot of the riffraff and garbage, I don't know, I don't want to say garbage wholesalers, but the one-off
Yeah.
guys,
They never last, dude.
they never
Sketchy
last.
motherfuckers,
Yeah,
the
they never
shady
last,
people.
man.
It's no.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to think macro too. I mean, we're high level people. We're here for a long time, not a short time. You can
Exactly.
make fast money, like cool, but like in 3-4 years from now, like I'll have more assets, more money in the bank,
Yep.
more systemized process and business. So it's, you can do a couple deals and make some short-term money, but the macro perspective and the longevity of it, the higher level people and guys like us, we're going to be around for a couple more years and decades, and those good people kind of stick together and level up together.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I think that's the right mindset to have. And that's my mindset is, look, this is a forever thing for me. I mean, this is a forever thing. And whenever you kind of have that perspective, you treat things different. And what's really cool about that perspective, it sort of takes some of that emotional stress out as well, because you're like, dude, it's one deal. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? And if you have a deal that goes sour or something happens, you're thinking long term versus so transactional. That a lot of people think. They think very deal to deal. So I think it's huge to have that long term mindset. So just before we hop off here, man, what are, for you personally, because you're successful, you have a successful business. I feel like if you have a successful business and you're a high level person, you sort of do certain things a certain way. What are some key things for you, mindset, that has kind of helped you continue to grow and progress on your path?
I mean, everything outside of business, like mindset and like personal, it's like I try to take care of myself the best way. I try to eat healthy. I work out 3 to 4 times a week. Like, my mind's always thinking, like, clean energy produces, a clean headspace, and that's going to produce like clean work, where as opposed, you're not sluggish and you're not, fat fuck, and all that's going to transition into how you do business, how you conduct yourself, how you dress, how you present yourself, looking like a professional everywhere you go. And I think I read a short article where it's like, you want to envision who you want to be. You want to be a 7-figure earner. It's like, okay, how is a 7-figure earner going to dress? How is a 7-figure earner going to present themselves? What's your mannerism going to be? How are you overall going to be as a person before you actually make that money? You need to become that person.
Absolutely. 100%, man. I totally agree with that. That's there's a book right now. I'm an audiobook guy. I force myself to read 10 pages a day, but I have to force myself to do it. But I'm an audiobook junkie, and there's a book called The Competitive Buddha. So it's based off of an athletic mindset, and Steve Kerr, Golden State Warriors coach, he does the first chapter and all this stuff, but it's all tied to like the Mamba mentality and Michael Jordan, and these guys were, dude, they were fucking Zen masters, but people just see them on the court, but they didn't see that Kobe meditated every day. He woke up at fucking 5 a.m. Jordan would have his, like, he would be by himself for hours on game day, just all these things that these guys they were like competitive monks, you know what I mean? And it's your mental space. And but one of the things it said in the book, and I'm still listening to it, is it's about being a champion. If you are a champion, you're gonna have success. But I think most people try to do it backwards. They try to go get things, but it's like, dude, just be that person and do it day to day, and the results are they're gonna happen.
It's the habits that make you become. It's not surprising to me, or I think I've gotten lucky here and there, but like the small, like, consistent habits like that I've done like over the years, like, have made me successful and put the right things in place, and you attract things more, and people want to work for you, and people want to be around you, because you have those micro habits lead to a more macro scale, which is overall success and everything.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, I totally agree. I know you do a lot of correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you help a lot of people move their deals on Dispo. Do you guys do that? Do you like?
I'll still do some joint ventures. I'm trying to offer more like joint venture opportunities and do some like consulting and stuff like that for people either wanting to get into Phoenix market or people locally here in Phoenix. Because I am getting more time back on my plate with outsourcing some stuff. So I'm looking to create some more income avenues and opportunities. So that is something I would like to break ground on.
Awesome, man. So people need to reach out to you if they're in the Phoenix market, or if they're looking to get into Phoenix market. You can help them with kind of, I guess, consulting on their business, or some joint venture opportunities.
Yeah, joint venture opportunities. I can help with buy numbers, underwriting deals, just an array of things. You can follow me on Instagram, Danny McBrin. That's really my main source of contact.
Okay. Awesome, Danny. Well, listen, bro, it was a pleasure, man. This was fun. I always love connecting with guys that are just killing it, man. It's inspiring for myself, and we have a lot of work to do in our company. So I actually wrote down some golden nuggets here on the dispo stuff that I'm going to start implementing for myself. So it was awesome, man. Thanks for being on, brother. And I'm hoping that we can connect soon, more here soon, shortly as well.
Absolutely, Blake. Thank you for having me on, and I will speak with you soon, brother.
Awesome, man. Take care.